Who's gonna win?
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Here we go. Game number 2 coming at you. The Dire versus Team Leviathan. And the Dire, pretty statement game there in game number 1. Taking it, thus up 1-0. Trying to wrap up the series here and now. Well, they're going to have to go up against a Nature's Prophet and Jakiro. They pick a Necrophos for themselves. I am Bricky CPK, joined by Trouf. We got a Necrophos game here, Trouf. Coming at us.
Nice, always fun. There are a number of ways to deal with them. I don't know if they were planning on taking Necrophos, but they did ban out the AA, which is also a great hero against him, prevents him from healing and whatnot. But there's still tons of counters. There's Nyx, there's Pugna. I'm just totally going to say that too, but one of the best heroes against Nature's Prophet is that Spirit Breaker. They're able to take it up right now. It is a bit iffy with Ice Path in the mix. It can kind of disrupt your chain of initiation. It's one thing you do have to worry about, but in general, Spirit Breaker is not only just good on its own, but very good against that Virion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spirit Breaker, obviously good value to have. We mentioned last game it wasn't picked until the second tier of bans even, so this time, though, the Dire not going to let it be passed up here. We'll probably see it in the hands of Misery, I'm sure. Playing it for them. So Team Leviathan, though, again, they valued the Jakiro a little bit more as well as the Nature's Prophet. It does seem like that screams a little more objective-based, of course, if you're going to go those two especially. And I know Monkey is also a fan of playing Nature's Prophet, as a lot of offlaners are, to be honest, so not that surprising there. But something we have seen a couple of these teams do recently as well is potentially play the Nature's Prophet in a safe lane as well, in that one position role. Actually, do you think that could be a possibility here, or are you thinking it's more the off lane?
Yeah, it's always a possibility if the draft lends it to be, or if that's your overarching strategy is we want more farmer on Nature's Prophet. We want to prioritize him a little bit more so that he can have a bit more of a presence to supplement with the other heroes. So it just depends on what you want. And that definitely could be an option here with Spirit Breaker on the board. I mean, if you're offlaning against the Spirit Breaker plus any kind of core that has some kind of initiation spell, whether it's a Sven, PL is very strong, that can start on you with before the Spirit Breaker does to kind of give it away, it's very hard to lane at all. I mean, you're kind of forced to go jungle level 1. Mm-hmm. And Nature's Prophet doesn't want to do that. He wants to throw his trees out. He wants to harass the supports, give them a hard time, but it's hard to do that when you have to always fear that charge. So maybe that is an option. I don't know if I've ever seen BSJ play Nature's Prophet, but I'm sure he's up for the task.
Yeah. We'll see if that comes about right here. Again, this an elimination match. You've made it this far in a tournament, especially nothing against a team like Team Leviathan, but they're not, at the beginning of the season here especially, definitely not a team that's projected to be winning these qualifiers just yet, at least. Still time to develop, but they're here, in what's the losers bracket finals, making a deep run, already defeating a team like EG, of course, and even VGJ Storm, respectable in itself. But running into a tough team here in Team Dire, and they got to be feeling at least a bit of pressure. But we'll see how they continue on with the draft now, as their third pick will be a Bloodseeker to lend to their cause here. So the core Bloodseeker coming out could be mid, could be safe lane. Still doesn't give away too much yet.
Almost certainly mid. I think Sammy Boy exclusively plays this for Team Leviathan.
All right.
Always plays it mid. That's not for sure, but it's just every game I've seen him play, or them draft Bloodseeker, it's been him on mid. Now, that could be a bit iffy as well. Straight up 1v1 against Necro, it's fine. But when you Blood Rage yourself, if you happen to miss some CS and a Spirit Breaker comes charging in and gets a lucky bash or two, you are dead. So you do have to be very, very fearful of that. Again, straight up 1v1, he'll be fine. He can always auto-attack and get the last hits with his Blood Rage over Necrophos. He'll have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But when you start throwing in a Spirit Breaker in the mix and get a lucky, maybe Haste Rune or double damage or something, it can really throw it off. So we'll see how that goes.
Ooh, there you go. Dazzle. This is a hero that I know PPD especially likes to play. And I also noticed the third ban from Leviathan being that Witch Doctor. I was also eyeing that right there. Another hero that, again, PPD likes to play in that support role. So taking away that option. But Dazzle picked up instead, then into a pretty quick Doom response here from Team Leviathan. Again, if you had to guess, probably more of that 4-position Doom coming out. But that was a immediate response. But I have heard this idea that Doom is supposed to be also a decent counter to Necrophos with the ultimate alone, right, where you put it on him in fights. and it negates his possibilities. So that's what they're thinking here, I'm sure.
Name a hero in the game. Doom is a counter to it. Any hero. You can name any hero in the game. Doom is a counter to that hero.
Okay.
This is why this hero is awesome. Doesn't matter what hero you are. Doesn't matter if you're Lincoln's builder. He can go get a purge creep. He can buy a halberd or anything. He is a counter to every single hero in the game. So, yeah, it's like you have a problem that you have to deal with on the enemy team. Pick Doom him, and that problem is solved. Problem is just getting the initiation, and also one of the things that Doom has struggles with is his mana pool. He wants to cast an Infernal Blade a couple times, maybe cast whatever spell and the creep he has. Maybe it's the Purge. That costs a lot of mana. Cast his Scorched Earth. Cast his Doom, which costs I think 150 at level 1. It's a lot of mana, so that's one of the downfalls of Doom is you have to make sure you have a big mana pool. Maybe go for something like an early Drums to give yourself a little bit more mana regen and just base mana pool. Now, this actually could be a lineup where they would run a one-position Furion, and I think it would make sense. Having the Doom as an offlane would provide more farm, would give him the faster items he needs to get onto the Necrophos. So I could actually see this being a decent Nature's Prophet as a one game, but we'll wait and see. Again, I haven't seen BSJ play it, so that leads me to believe it is going to be that 4-position Doom like you mentioned.
Okay.
But their options are open for sure.
Well, Bat Rider on the other side for Team Dire here, who's actually on the Dire side of this game, by the way, so that's
nice.
A little bit feels better here. As I was noticing in the picks, they chose first pick, actually, which then led to Leviathan choosing the Radiant side right there. So,
can we talk about how weird of a name that is for a team, the Dire? Am I the only one? Like, no, where did this come from?
I wouldn't be surprised if it had to do with trolling the viewers and the casters, right? Like, that's probably part of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. They got us, right? Yeah. But I honestly, I'm hoping, at least especially, that it's not going to last for long, simply because they're going to be picked up by an organization, right? Like, that has to happen with a team like this.
Let's hope so, yeah.
Let's hope so. I don't think this is going to be a player-owned organization here, Team Dire, but we'll see if and when that comes. They banned Phantom Lancer, by the way, at the final ban, and they pick Lifestealer pretty quickly after, so they're going to put Leviathan now on the clock.
Phantom Lancer is a good ban. It's also a good hero. Any hero that naturally goes for Diffusal Blade is a good hero against Necrophos. Potom is decent, has range, goes for Diffusal. Phantom Lancer naturally goes for Diffusal. Anyone that pretty much naturally goes for Diffusal is a decent hero against Necrophos. I still think they already have decent counters to Necrophos. I mean, Doom, like I said, is a counter to anybody. We'll have to wait and see. This is going to be a Void. So, yeah, it will be a position for Doom. And it will be Furion in the offlane.
Yeah. Faceless Void in the hands of BSJ here in that one position. So they got the first thing I'm looking at is lockdown potential, and I mean it's better. It's definitely better than the previous game, that's for sure, as far as what they bring to the table. Obviously Doom can have a plethora depending on what he has, and you know Faceless Void, of course, with the Bash and the Chronos, and then Jakiro with the ice there. So it's better. Is it enough, though? And is this going to be a game that what about you? I mean, are you feeling more confident with their draft this time around, perhaps? With Leviathan?
Depends on how they lane it and where they prioritize their support heroes. Because if Doom goes and roams around to try to help out because they have a little bit of dilemma. It's like, all right, we have a Nature's Prophet against a Dazzle Spearbreaker, a potential Dazzle Spearbreaker Lifestealer lane. Like, that's very hard for him. Any open wounds, he's dead because he has to fear the charge. He can't really TP out. So that's a really hard lane. So do we send Doom down there to help him out? Well, if we send Doom down there to help him out, that means we have a Void Jakiro lane against a Bat. And that's actually a really hard lane for them. Bat's very, very fast. He's probably going to rush the boots. I don't think they actually have kill potential on the Bat. And they have to always be scared of all those stacks. It's not a hero like Phantom Lancer, which they banned out, by the way, that can get rid of those stacks immediately and then go for a kill. So I think that was actually a really nice ban for them. But Void, it's a much harder matchup against the Bat. So this draft could work. It just depends on where they throw these supports. Personally, I feel they have to protect this safe lane. They need to make sure this Void gets farmed. Yeah, Furion's going to have a hard lane, but I don't think you can afford to give Zai a very, very easy lane again. I think you really need to shut him down.
Yeah, he proved last game if you give him any kind of room, and on that Beastmaster, he happened to find that kill and the solo silencer that was last game, and he just really took off from there. So on a hero this time around, definitely with potential to kind of snowball as well, really get that earlier blink, if anything, the drums, and be very active in the game. We see a little bit of running into each other from the beginning right here between Misery and Master Kenshiro. Just going to say hello, put in a couple of attacks, but probably nothing will come of it. Both teams going for the mid ward here, we see, off the bat as well. So definitely expecting some heavy roam play. Of course, you got a Spear Breaker on one side. That most certainly is going to be happening. Man, we have some clashing going on. They're going back and forth here, but again, no deaths. Something else that I feel like is necessary to point out, at least for Team Leviathan's draft here, is whenever I see Faceless Void, I always look for the other core on their team, or cores even. In this case, I'm always a little bit hesitant to be like, oh, right, yes, it's great when they do have another melee core, right? In this case, the Bloodseeker. Yeah. Now, I know that the Blood Right synergy is there, but preventing him from being able to do damage to heroes while they're trapped in the Chronosphere always feels a little odd to me.
Yeah, I feel you. I know what you're talking about. You'd expect it to be like a quap or something, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But the Blood Right still works wonders. Sorry, I was just watching Zai kind of play around here with the Void. Get a couple stacks onto him. He won't have that poor man's shield just yet. And of course he wants that on top of a magic stick. But I'm very curious to see how they do in the safe lane. I really think they need to pressure Zai early, and they need to do it with many heroes. And where's that Doom? It's like Doom is starting off mid to block. Maybe he goes to grab a lucky creep or something, and then transition to the bottom lane. But I think they need to just be aggressive onto this Batrider, like, ASAP. He's already taken a little bit of damage. Doesn't have Firefly.
Yeah.
And they have to do it earlier rather than later.
What's that lucky creep you're talking about? Something like a troll?
A wolf is always great.
Okay.
A wolf is always great, just because it gives you extra damage, and it gives you crit chance, gives your allies extra damage. Obviously, the wolf is the best. You don't have a big mana pool for much else. The troll would work as well for like one spell, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
He could also just go for the Infernal Blade and just like hit the bat a couple of times and lower his HP, but we'll see. He's blocking here for mid, staying mid for the time being, as so is Misery. They're both kind of doing the same thing.
And then he kind of backs off a little bit. Again, they both have vision on the other side here in the middle lane. So they're definitely aware of what's going on.
This is the creep. No mana cost stun, and it stuns for quite a bit. So this is actually one of the best creeps.
Got the Mud Golem. Gonna head back towards mid. And the great thing about this, too, of course, if he happens to die, the idea that he gets that split up and even more stun. So see the little Doomlings coming out. Always entertaining. Something you can't forget about if he happens to die in a fight. So, yeah, he's going to pick up the Mud Golem, heads right back to the middle lane, and we got a good old 2 versus 2 now in our middle lane matchup. Does this favor either side, do you think? I mean, there's the Orb of Venom on the side of Misery here, so that's got to help.
Well, I think if anything, it favors Radiant just because the Furion knows that the Spear Breaker's mid, and he can play accordingly, right? He doesn't have to be as scared for at least a little while.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of that, he does get open wounds. A big heal bomb from PPD. One more auto attack, and Monkey's River dies. So, wow. Geez, I'm eating my words. They don't even need that Spirit Breaker, but he wasn't expecting the early level 2 from Pycat. And as soon as he hits it, he gets that open wounds, and then took a huge chunk of damage from that heal bomb.
Yeah.
Maybe
maybe that was the game plan, right? Where Team Dire they knew that they were thinking that, so playing a little more confident, and then they catch him off guard there, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe next level there, but
that's super next level.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, he's in some trouble. Doesn't have his. Oh man, Sammy Boy's going in
Tunnel
for
vision.
This.
He wants it. He's not going to get it. He's dead. Yeah.
Oh no, disaster.
That's a play where you make it, and we could either be sitting here like being like, what a player, or we could also be saying what we just kind of did right there of like, yeah, that was bad.
Even if he gets the kill, I'd be like, I can't believe he went for that.
Okay. Either way, then. Pretty poor decision, then, it sounds like, to dive like that. Oh, and New Shaman will actually die over here as he got charged down. Yeah, I guess he was a little bit lower, and Misery ends up finding the charge kill onto him as well. So already a 3-0 start here for Team Dire in game number 2.
We'll just have to chalk it up to Leviathan is not a laning stage team. That's for sure. I think even the games they won against EG, they lost the laning stage, although I can't remember the first game they won. But regardless, they seem to have a rocky start at the laning stage.
Yeah.
But I'd rather a team have a rocky start in laning phase and put it back together in the mid game than a team that owns in the lane. Like usually with the new teams, they come out strong. They're talented players, but they just don't know how to play well together in the mid game. That's what we usually see, but we actually see the opposite from Leviathan, at least in the games that we've watched thus far.
Yeah, between yesterday and today, against obviously two very good opponents now, and they're finding themselves in that hole though early on in game number 2. Pycat top lane. It seems like Doom, he's decided he'll be more use up here. Currently has an ice armor as well to apply and help out a little bit.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's like a level, what, 3 ice armor from Lich, I think?
8 armor, yeah.
The equivalent, yeah.
I'm watching the bottom lane down here, meanwhile. Batrider, it looked like they were trying to dive for the kill on Jakiro. Charge coming in even initially, but they go a little bit too far. Faceless Void is there to respond, and not sure if he got a Bash proc thrown in there. I'm sure that would have helped, and they end up turning on a Zai. So we mentioned locking out Zai. Well, that's one way to do it. Take advantage of him diving on you, I guess.
Sorry, I had to check. It's actually a level 3.5 because Lich's goes odd numbers. It
3,
goes
5,
3,
7,
5,
9.
7. Yeah. So it's actually a level 3.5 ice armor in comparison to Lich's.
That's
so very
really strong in this early on, especially, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't remember the move slow, attack slow stats for Lich, but it's probably similar. Charge
lane.
coming out onto Bloodseeker. This is what I was talking about. He cast that Blood Rage on himself. Extra damage being applied. Auto attack's doing a lot. And a bash on top of it. Oh my god, one more auto attack. That lucky bash gets the kill. Had he not got that bash, he would not be dead right now. Nushim tries to do something here, but they're not able to find any follow-up kills with the heal coming out from PPD on this to CC zone heal. But man, those bashes.
Yep. That's Misery. And the good Spirit Breaker players, they'll get those. Monkeys forever, top lane.
He is going to be dead unless he... Nope, he's dead.
He has teleport, but obviously there's no way that's going to help him here. He gets bashed in a kind of an awkward spot. And he's going to tree himself out.
Bash.
Oh, not good enough, apparently.
Zai gets a solo kill. He does fall himself, but totally worth it. Look at the gold difference. 314 onto the...
Oh, wow,
sorry, for killing the Void. And Void only gets 142, and he gets no experience as a result. So I talked about this Void in the safe lane against the Bat. Even though they killed him, what, twice or once before that, it's a hard matchup for Void. And they picked this into that. That goes back to the very smart ban of PPD onto the Phantom Lancer. If this is a Phantom Lancer, it's a totally different laning setup.
Middle lane, you almost saw another death right there. Both Bloodseeker and Doom actually getting a low. Bloodseeker especially almost killed off, but not enough damage. Necrophos, though, now he's level 6, so now you really have to play safe here if you're Leviathan, because, of course, that Reaper Scythe. Bloodseeker is still level 4, not even level 5 yet, so he's really falling behind. And it's going to just continue to be more and more difficult, it feels like. He's going to hit level 5 here shortly, but again, he has to play this very safe, like we said. He gets just a little bit below half-life, and he's definitely susceptible to dying here in this middle lane now. So what do you do? I mean, you send him to the jungle, as it looks like he might be thinking about now, but clearly this middle lane is a very, very tough spot for him now.
Yeah, he can definitely go jungle. Maybe that's what he has to do. But, I mean, he's going to hit level 6 here relatively soon. Maybe they can look for a kill onto this guy with a level 6 Rupture and a Chrono, but that's going to be a lot of spells. And we're not even sure if that'll do it, right? You have a Grave sitting behind him as well, potentially, from Dazzle. So I think they just have to farm. Maybe, yeah, that is kind of a problem when you're looking at how do they kill this Necro. It literally is going to have to be like a 5-man gank, I think. Unless they get a Doom up, but he's only level 4, so.
Yeah. Proven to be a tough kill, as he tends to be. Top lane, by the way, teleport out. That was a TP scroll. He was waiting for the charge from Misery. It eventually happened. He went for the TP out, and Misery got 2 auto attacks in with no bash proc, so never lucky for him, unfortunately. So, but no, that's obviously feels good for Monkeys, at least, to escape and survive. But again, this laning phase just continuing to snowball in favor of Team Dire, as they're already up just over 2,000 net worth, and only being 7 minutes into the game, that actually is a pretty significant lead. The one thing that is going pretty well is, of course, the safe lane free farming Faceless Void, but even that, you kind of compare him to the other cores on the other side, and he is actually even a little bit behind them as far as what he's looking at. So, Faceless Void, well, what's going to be that high-impact item right away? Is it just your Mask of Madness, you think?
Yeah, Treads, Mask of Madness, and then maybe a Shadow Blade for initiation after that, and some extra attack speed. But yeah, I am just looking at this Necro and thinking, how do they kill him? It has to be with the Doom. I don't know of any other way. And even then, it's not like Doom keeps you there. Like you can walk away. And he can maybe walk towards. Oh, speaking of that, he gets the rupture. Maybe TP's into mid lane. There's a dazzle.
Jeez.
Gets an extra heal out.
Oh, they're committing for this. The Chronosphere even coming out. So little damage. Follow-up, though. Can he get another heal off? No, he cannot. They finally take him out, so it does work out. Shallow Grave. PPD throws it on himself. Doom gets picked off as well. Now PPD may end up falling in the midst of it. He indeed will. Zai runs it very late. He needs to be careful not to get turned himself, though. Time walk away from BSJ. And Zai will just keep on chasing, putting the burn down. Sticky napalm's being applied. Not going to be enough damage to take out the Nature's Prophet, though. So that went pretty well for the Radiant team. They did lose Bloodseeker in the end, but a 2-for-1 exchange at least. Killing the Necrophos there. So, yeah, Rupture's definitely one way to do it, using that and getting the rotations. You mentioned Doom even apart. Didn't have his ultimate, but wasn't necessary.
Yeah, and I think that was, what, a 5-man gank onto him? And they need it.
Yeah.
They need to throw everything in the kitchen sink in this guy to get him killed. And luckily enough for him, they saw exactly where Dazzle was TPing, so they could prevent the Grave coming out. So nice play from BSJ. That will be a bit easier with the Doom. As you mentioned, he doesn't have it quite just yet. As Nusham scouts out this Spirit Breaker, he's going to go for the 3 points in Infernal Blade, so not any kind of farming or sustain build, whether maxing the Devour or maxing Scorched Earth, but just wants to get some extra damage here.
Wants to run at people and hit them with this kind of build, and again, definitely assisting right there. But we also saw the idea of that Chronosphere again. It also happened to hit, of course, not only Doom, but even the Bloodseeker. So Necrophos almost lived after that happened. He did get silenced up after, though, and eventually we're able to take him out just enough damage. But that's going to be something that Leviathan has to play around themselves even when it comes to initiating with the Faceless Void here. But he is going to be farming a Helm of the Dominator, it looks like, is going to be the option for Faceless Void. So he's not going your Mask of Madness build, the one that we do see a lot.
Okay. I kind of dig it. I think that you can still run your creep in the Chrono. I can't remember if they've changed it or anything. I could be wrong on that, but even if you can't, it's kind of nice having like an extra attack speed or a stomp after the Chrono if you get a Centaur or something like that. I used to really love this build back when it was the old like Mask of Death component with the Helm of the Iron Will.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite builds on Void. But since they've changed it, I just haven't tried that much. Anyway, Doom coming out onto the Nakes. They get the Sprout. No Dazzle here just yet. He's trying to walk over. Level 2 Grave gets the heal off instead.
Centaur Stomp, stopping him in place. Chronosphere in the backlands. They are going to get the kill on a Lifesteal. Necrophos, though, runs in pretty late, but now he's dropping a half-life. You'll have to be a little bit careful right here. Does have heals, so I'm sure to be fine. He does get stunned up by a Bash Proc, but they take out with the Reaper Scythe onto the Bloodseeker right there. And PPD trying to stay alive himself, throws up the Shallow Grave against the Faceless Void to do so. Doom's picked off, though, as is Nature's Prophet, and all of a sudden it is just Faceless Void left alone. He'll dance away. Of course, BSJ right there, but a 3-for-1 fight, so they kill the Lifestealer to start it off. Now, meanwhile, Jakiro's trying to split push. He's going to be lasted up, though, in the middle lane, and he probably is going to be picked off right here. Doesn't even have an Ice Bat, just throws out the Dual Breath, maybe trying to get a little bit of farm at the end before he does eventually get picked off, too. So when you look at that, really a 4-for-1 fight in their favor, and you could have a Lifestealer who, frankly, he already has his armlet, so maybe not the biggest deal in the world if you're Team Dire there. Yeah,
and what's really frightening is all that happens and you're like, oh my god, this Batrider has a 10-minute blink. Like that. This was that offlane that we should have shut down, but he's got an 11 or 10-minute blink. It's very, very scary mentally going into the game.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of charge, it's coming up in the top lane. That tower does fall. Wow, that was an interesting time leap position choice. But he does cancel the charge. He had Doom behind him. But yeah, at least they're able to get some tower gold. They're pushing bottom that tower as well. Mid tower is quite low.
There's that blink, though. No lasso this time, but even blinking in with that Fireflight active. So much burn damage, and that's another Reaper Scythe kill. Doom's dead for another 30 seconds here as a result of that. And Necrophos has definitely turned on quite a bit now as he started moving with the team, and it's just going to be more Ruptures put up on a Batrider, so make it a little awkward for him. He's going to fly over the ledge into the Ancients. Has a charge coming out from Misery. The Bloodrite will hit, though. Batrider's still alive for the time being, but BSJ will change that as he time walks in to take him out. Now Misery with that Liquid Fire on him, going to be sprouted up as well. He does not have charge coming up here, so they also are going to be able to take him out. He thought about throwing out the Nether Strike, but not going to happen. So a couple of kills in response for Leviathan there. Again, the case of at least they're getting something. I feel like we're seeing a bit here.
Yeah, that was definitely a good exchange for them. SJ now has his home with the Dominator, and it's not so worrying in a game where it's like, oh my god, Necro is so farmed. They have a Dazzle to keep him healthy as well. Like, you still have Doom, right? Like, there's still, if things go bad, we can still always Doom him and play around that.
Yeah.
But speaking of Doom, he's in some trouble. Nusham having kind of a rough game again, 0-5. And not able to get really any kind of farm going this way. Just the Tranquils at 14 minutes in.
It's been a rough day for him overall. First game wasn't the best on the Air Spirit. Now this time around, look at this. Misery yelling out dive, dive in the chat right there. But no, they're not going to go for it. Something tells me he was being told to back off right there. This is fine. As a Spirit Breaker, you can get out of hand sometimes. You feel ridiculous, but not going to go in there, and I kind of agree with that decision. Bottom lane, look at this build on Pycat, by the way. He has the Radiance queued up after the armlet on the Lifestealer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen this sometimes. I love Radiance on Lifestealer personally. I just think Radiance overall is a great item, and if you can farm it quickly, it's pretty much good on everybody.
Yeah.
But it couples nicely with a creep. If you want to go into that, you can jump inside the Batrider, give off some Radiance burn before you jump out. I see lots of pings up in the top lane. They're maybe looking for Misery.
They got scanned.
In fact, they did get scanned, yeah, so the jig is up. But I was going to mention something. BSJ, his first Helm of the Dominator creep was a Dire melee creep. Not exactly the target that you want. I don't know. Maybe you're just trying to push out mid lane as fast as possible, but if that's your creep of choice for that 2,000 gold item, you're doing something wrong.
Probably not worth the investment right there. It's going to be back off cooldown here, so we'll see what he picks up. Obviously, there's a plethora. And again, I was reading the Chronosphere. According to what I'm reading here, it does feel like you should be able to. Oh, if he used right there to stop PPD, could have been something, but he does not in time, didn't see him, and does escape. So yeah, from what I'm reading there, it seems like it should work with the Helm of the Dominator minion. So a little bit of added damage as well then. Wherever you trap inside. Top lane, though, that's an Infest Bomb with the Blink Dagger on Batrider. An easy kill on a Monkeys Forever as a result of it. This is going to be something that... Lifestealer definitely has a couple of vehicles here. Not only that, but of course even Misery on the Spirit Breaker if he wants to go for a ride. But Batrider's a great one, and they find the easy kill.
Yep, they spot out Nusham. I don't know if they're... Yeah, and there's the Spirit Breaker already TPing down. Maybe looking to charge and do something down here. Obviously no lasso, but they're just so strong right now, and they definitely want to take every fight. When you're up, you never want to take any trades. You want to defend all your towers. You don't want to give the enemy team any chance to get back into the game. It may seem kind of redundant of like, oh my god, we actually have to TP all these people down here to defend this, but you just don't want to give an inch. You just always want to be fighting when you're up.
Rod of Atos being delivered to Necrophos, by the way. I was kind of wondering, he looked a little weak right with his inventory. 1,100 gold saved up, but being the top farm in the game. Expected something else. Sure enough, it is on the courier. And that Rod of Atos coming out, so he gets a little bit tankier on top of having that root tool now, especially against something like this Bloodseeker here or even the Faceless Void. That's going to be a great crowd control item to have for the squad. So another way to catch people, set up Reaper Scythe kills, which he hasn't had one in a little bit here, so he's going to be hunting for one.
This could be a bait here. There is two heroes trying to gank this Void right now. There's the Doom. Maybe need the Chrono as well. There is Dazzle coming down here to try to stop him.
Misery charges in, trying to thwart it off, but yeah, with the Doom up, there's no way he's living through that. And now Misery actually is going to be in trouble. An ambitious move on his part. Unfortunately, might get him killed in the long run, too. So it's going to be a 2-for-0, and killing Necrophos. That's 440 gold for BSJ right there on the Faceless Void. That's a huge swing, actually.
I'm not really sure what they were thinking of trying to kill that Void. And they got a Rupture also on the Zai.
Oh, no.
He can't really blink away, and if he does, he could be in some trouble of taking too much damage. The Rupture is off. Maybe now he'll be fine. He's trying to get the TP out, and he will be fine. So Zai gets on out of there. But I'm not quite sure what their mode of thinking was of trying to kill a Void. I mean, Strength Treads, he'd have 1,600 HP. He applied the Ice Armor himself. It was just a Spirit Breaker and a Necro.
Yeah.
They didn't have anybody infested. I don't think they kill him at all. So an interesting decision there from the Dire.
Maybe that's your we're feeling really good this game moment, and feeling a little too good. You're not necessarily that far ahead. They feel like a little further perhaps, but Lifestealer, it's going to really help put them further ahead, as again that Radiance is actually getting very close to being finished now. 3,400 gold saved up. So, like you talked about, I mean, not only is it so good for an offensive tool, but the defensive mindset of it with the burn effect is very powerful against heroes like Bloodseeker and especially the Faceless Void in these fights. So it's going to be a great item for him to pick up. Batrider, I'm sure, has something else. Force Staff coming along. He chose not to go the drums, by the way. That's an item we do see on a lot of Batriders, even before the Blink Dagger sometimes.
Yeah.
Not getting that, though.
I say if you can get a Blink Dagger in 10 minutes, go for that.
True.
I'm old school in that sense of thinking that the Blink is just, it catches people off guard. And when you can even just get that one kill from catching someone off guard, I think it pays for itself. So
Yeah.
I really, but obviously drums is fine in its own right too. It makes you really tanky, it makes you fast, a little bit of speed boost for your team. But anyway, Sammy Boy, he's also close to a relic. He's up to 3K despite the kind of rough laning stage start that he had.
Yeah, that's kind of all he has, though. You have the armlet, at least on Lifestealer before, but yeah, Sacred Relic into a Radiance on him, also going to be great, and it's going to get it just a little after the Lifestealer at this rate. But getting it for themselves, as you're pointing out, it's just kind of a great item to have if you can farm it earlier on. So both teams going to have one. BSJ gets away with a time walk right there.
Bottom lane, Zai kind of a not so great blink. Maybe blinks himself into harm's way. There's a TP coming in aggressively from Monkeys Forever. He already applied the Orchid, but he gets him, stops him in his tracks. No Firefly. A couple bashes from BSJ. Monkeys Forever gets the last hit. So Zai, with an unfortunate misstep, he doesn't quite calculate the correct range of his blink and not able to get the lasso onto Nature's Prophet.
Yeah. Not good. Great turn kill for Leviathan.
The Stormcrafter in mid by BSJ is spamming it out, but these are some interesting choices of Helm of the Dominator creeps, or maybe he's just not getting so lucky with his camps. But he is last hitting. BSJ getting the most out of all the farm he can get.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get that one, but.
And go back in for a zap. Well, it sets it up for Doom, I guess. That is a very curious choice. All right, well, we're looking at that. We do miss a kill on the top lane. As actually CCNC gets a Reaper Scythe kill on Nature's Prophet. And this is Bloodseeker as well up here. That is going to have to run away. And actually, he used his Rupture, so got so distracted by that creep in the middle lane. But something tells me that was their attempt to kill Necrophos. And as we've seen so many times before, he's the one that turned on them, actually.
Oh, Batrider. He's TPing in on Jakiro. He knows he's here somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He scouted him out with a charge, and he should be dead. They have another charge. They have a lasso if they really want to kill him, but they shouldn't need to use that.
Yeah, just burn him down. So there we catch that one, and a couple of kills for Team Dire right there. But man, CCNC, I'll say this, he has definitely farmed himself, 10,000 plus net worth now. The Lincoln Sphere is already coming along in this game at this point. So Rupture is going to be a little more difficult, but as well as Doom itself, also difficult.
They do have ways to cancel that. They can cancel with Blood Rage. If Doom wants to get a Diffusal creep, he can do that. If he wants to get the Mud Golem creep, that's a nice, easy way to cancel that Lincoln's as well. The problem is the initiation. It's like, if you just run at them trying to cancel it, it's very difficult to do so. You need that Shadow Blade or Blink or something, but his farm has just been so slow. Now, he does have the extra Devour Gold talent, which is 80 plus damage, or sorry, 80 plus gold, but they smoked right under a ward.
Yep.
And they should have seen that. I don't see any pings coming out, but Zai with an Invis rune, he does actually scout it out. I see a Radiance burn onto the Ancient Granite Golem here for Nate, because he does have that, and he's running through. This could be a good team fight for the Dire.
And the last one, Faceless Void. The Reaper Scythe was very early. They didn't have nearly enough damage. He actually time walked off that damage. Doom applied to Necrophos now, so perhaps a turn chance for Leviathan with the Magpie down. Here comes that big golem, though, of Lifestealer. Like you're talking about, he's sitting inside of it, actually, just putting an auto attack. Gets one kill on a Doom right there, and now running down Monkeys Forever with that burn. CCNC manages to live once again because he's Necrophos. Heals on up, stays alive, and he's still running into Jakiro, trying to finish him off. More heals coming out from the Dazzle, and it's a full cleanup for Team Dire indeed. You were right. It looked a little sketchy there in favor of Team Leviathan, but all of a sudden that golem came in. The burn was being applied to everyone, and they completely turned that. And as usual, Necrophos, he manages to stay alive just barely.
Well, the burn and the boost of HP that the golem provides as well. So it was just like a perfect mode of entry there for Pycat. Like, they were already all fighting, but they were being kept somewhat healthy from Dazzle heals and whatnot, and then he comes in, applies the burn, And BSJ unable to get the chrono off as well, so very unfortunate, but a big team fight here for the Dire, followed up with an easy Roshan kill. They do have chrono if they want to maybe do something, but it's falling fast with that medallion.
Yeah, and Faceless Void is just walking towards the top lane, so clearly they're not going to be going to stop that. And Dire's even going to scan out a couple of people in the area as they're running over. Something else to point out, of course, Bloodseeker did not have his Radiance finished. He has a Sacred Relic, but still needs that pattern gold. So it ends up being a pretty easy Roshan kill after the cleanup. And now you have the Aegis picked up by CCNC playing the Necrophos here, so you already thought he was a difficult kill. And if you somehow manage, he's just going to come right back up, and the Team Dire has to feel pretty good about maybe pushing in to even Tier 3 in the near future. But to be honest, they still have Tier 2s to actually get through as well. So when it comes to killing objectives, they haven't necessarily been doing a lot of that, but they're up 21 to 10 hero kills and have nearly a 9,000 net worth lead right now in this game. So they're feeling just fine with where they're at here. What about the choice on Nature's Prophet? Going the Orchid, and now he's going to build into a Linken's himself. Does Nature's maybe need to be, you know, split pushing more, would you say, or does that need to become a factor more in this game?
Well, that's the problem with picking Furion early into a potential Spirit Breaker without banning it out, is you cannot split push. And maybe he thinks to get that Linken's in order to split push. But it's just too difficult to do it against a Spirit Breaker. It's a hard counter against the hero. So you can't go for that Maelstrom split pushing build against a Spirit Breaker until you buy something like a Linken's, but he's very far away from that as well.
Well, let me ask you this. Does he go Treants or 20 Intelligence at level 15?
I think you still always get the Treants.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Treants is much better.
20 Intelligence is a lot, man.
Radiant's bottom tower.
But yeah, the 4 Treants extra.
But you can the extra damage you get from those 4 Treants really helps you just take down towers where you don't have to be there. Now it can be a little iffy against a hero that has Radiance, just waits for the Dire to clean up creep waves like the Necrophos, but I still think you get that, especially when you're down. Any way to pressure lanes without you actually being there.
I love seeing this from Pycat. Honestly, I do feel like this has been an underused tool of this hero for a while now. As they're fine Nature's Prophet, by the way. That's a Reaper Scythe kill over here in the middle lane. So it goes back to, yeah, he just can't really split push effectively. The Spirit Breaker every single time seems like anywhere he's trying to push up a little bit or find some room, he's going to be found there by Spirit Breaker first. As now Bloodseeker is going to get caught here by a lasso initiation. Here comes that charge from Spirit Breaker. And here comes PPD as well to help finish off the job with the heal bomb on top of that. But yeah, as I was saying too, Pycat inside of that ancient Black Dragon. I mean, he's inside of these ancient creeps. Something we don't see a lot from Lifestealers nowadays, I feel like. But it's doing a lot of work here, especially with that Radiance Burn. Just running out there.
Yeah, well, it was really strong a long time ago when the Ancients had magic immunity and you couldn't cast spells on them.
Oh, Jesus.
But, so that's why we don't see it that much anymore. But anyway, here comes the high ground push. 2 dead. They don't want to use buyback with only 20 seconds left on the respawn timers. So that means free reign here inside the enemy base here for the Team Dire.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, this is basically like 2 lives for Pycat, essentially.
It is.
And he has that awesome Fireball spell, which actually does a lot of damage on top of his Radiance. Forces BSJ to use that Time Walk. Here we go. Tower's dead. Maybe they just take the safe route, go back for some shrines. And yeah, if you're up, you just get more ahead.
They did lose their courier, but nothing was on it. Since it's coming up in just over a minute here, that happened a little bit ago. But yeah, easy tier 3. As you mentioned, the shrines are now vulnerable. But Necrophos, he's going to recoup and add to his collection of items here, I'm sure. Linken's Sphere, again, of course, finished. Another 1,600 gold on top of that. So we'll see what he looks to go for this game. I mean, is there something that maybe stands out to you? Is this like a Shiva's game or more aggressive route even, and dare I say Dagon or something like that? Or
I'm sorry, who?
Necrophos, yeah.
And the game, the world is his oyster. He can really go for anything he wants. I think with the Dazzle sitting behind him and just how far they are ahead, yeah, sure, he can go an aggressive build if he really wants to. He's already got huge defensive items. He's got tons of strength from the Rod of Atos, Linken's Sphere to block stuff, good stats from Veil, heals. He's not going to die. And on top of that, if he does, he's got an Aegis.
What about Faceless Void? Going the full Manta now, I mean, which again is great, of course, but not going the defusal route. And it's an item that just naturally works on this hero. We do see it a fair amount. You're going up against a Necrophos especially. Is that an oversight, you think, by him? By the way,
there's a gem on Nushim as he spots out Misery, who's invis. Might not be able to get the kill. In the meantime, CCNC is in a little bit of trouble, but he's very, very tanky.
Yeah. There's that example. He can't purge off the Ghost Shroud, but they're still running after him, but Dazzle's nearby. He has a shallow grave. The Rupture takes off the Lincoln Sphere, actually, so that's not going to be used. Now Chrono Sphere hits him a couple, but he traps his own teammates, remember. Spirit Break. Aegis just wore off. You're right, but the shallow grave comes out at the last second. Necrophos still alive for the time being. Has a Ghost Shroud heal bomb. If necessary, but he can't get it off with the Ice Path hitting him, and Sammy, no, will survive for now. CCNC, that is. The Reaper decides to take out Sammy Boy. Double kill coming out. Even with the Aegis just despawning, it could have been poor for the Team Dire right there. It is not, though. The heals are real from PPD and the support around. And CCNC, I am just in shock he lived that whole time, despite being so low and crowd controlled, it felt like forever. Yeah, he got healed. He got force-staffed by Zai out of the Blood Right. And at the same time, he casts the ultimate on someone, gets the kill, then that pops that extra regen on top of him. If they had any chance of killing him this game, it was right there. But they just couldn't do enough damage. They couldn't purge that Ghost Shroud, as you mentioned. And I do have to agree with you. I think that a purge definitely was in store here for one of these heroes. And I think the ideal candidate, of course, was Void. Bloodseeker can get one too, but he's just so underfarmed. Yeah. He's 1 in 7, man. A purge creep from Doom is also an option, but still, he has to find that creep. You know, with the game that he's had, that too, yeah. It's been not the most fortunate for him. So they're going to be able to resurrect in time and prevent base push right here as far as the top lane goes. But you look at the levels as well of this game. Not only an 18,000 net worth lead, but we're looking at over a 20,000 experience lead. I mean, the levels, especially on the cores compared, are just being dominated by Team Dire right now, and it just feels like it's going to continue to be a tough ask here for Leviathan as far as coming back in this game. Obviously, this is an elimination game for them, down 1-0 already, but so not expecting them to give up by any means. But yeah, Team Dire is in a very cozy spot here, and Necrophos, again, as you mentioned, the world is his oyster. He can get so many different items, 3,300 gold saved up. That's going to become an SNY finished on Lifestealer even, and he also has 2,800 more gold on top of that, so this continues to get better, and they find Jakiro. That's an easy kill. Maybe. Oh, he's gonna... Maybe. Oh, God, look at the movement speed with that buff from Spirit Breaker onto that golem. He's got 5 movement speed. Zooming in. Yeah, zooming in there, man. It's a scary golem. Bloodseeker top lane. He's dead too. Blood Rate. Oh, they get the turn kill at least on the side. That's a gem drop, actually. Oh, he didn't get credit for the kill. I think he would have lived. If he had the Blood Rage on him. It's unfortunate, but they get their gem back, I think. I pinged out, or I saw a pinged out gem. Yeah, they get their gem back. Yeah, which is nice. Shrine has fallen. That's good for them, I guess, and you know, being able to get a little bit more control of the map once again. But okay, Faceless Void does have the defusal now queued up. I was gonna say, because he had a Lincoln Sphere queued up before this even, and that's why I was also bringing that up. It just feels like they really need it. So now he does have it queued up. And going to make a point to get it here in this game. But Lincoln's finished on Nature's Prophet as well. Lincoln's proven to be a popular item this game on both sides, actually. Yeah, it's definitely imperative on the Heroes of Leviathan against Spirit Breaker. Now, especially with that, he's got a Lothar's, he's got his Midas, he's got a Vlad's queued up. He actually has enough for it if he wants it. So he is very, very farmed on Misery. Pycat finds another Ancient Granite Golem, trying to run over here, find this Monkeys Forever. They do have a way to maybe cancel this with an Open Wounds plus Lasso. Oh, he's got his own Yules anyway. Yules plus Force Staff to cancel it, so it's going to be a dead Fury on. In fact, they leave it here for CCNC to make the respawn timer up to 83 seconds. Ouch. 85 seconds. As far as when that started. So he's going to be out of the fight for a while. Roshan's back up in about 35 seconds here. So we'll see if Team Dire is going to be patient enough to wait around for that. But the Ancient Granite Golem continues to run around and look for another opportunity. Perhaps that bottom lane that charges in from Spirit Breaker. Nope, turning it now. As that was Jakiro that ported out, actually. So, oh, he's on top of a Sentry Ward, by the way, so he had that Shadow Blade active. Now he does find Nusham, though. Goes in for the Nether Strike, bashes him shortly after, and here comes the assistance. He actually dropped the gem as well, and It's just going to be picked up, of course. Back now for Team Dire, who has it here. So it's continues to be struggle. It is.
Looking real grim here for Leviathan.
It definitely is, but Team Dire, again, they've had a great run in several events, already qualifying for one minor. That is the BTS minor, of course. And looking to get that grand finals matchup now. Rematch even against Complexity. The reason why they're here is they lost to Complexity yesterday, 2-0 in a best-of-3 series. So, of course, you got always the PPD versus Melons matchup that everyone loves to see. But also two good teams going at it. Going to potentially be a spot on the line here for those two teams if they can hold on, of course. And it's looking like that at this rate. Double damage lifestealer. That'll help with this Roshan kill. Yeah, if you're Leviathan, maybe just go all in, try something here to defend this Roshan, but...
Yep, you need a YOLO chrono onto like 5 heroes. He is smoked up. They're looking for something. Yes. Sammy boy, a little bit of trouble.
Slowly running away right now. He tried to rupture something. I don't know if he got that on anyone or if that was a Lincoln spot, but Chronosphere comes in the background. He's locking out Dazzle, but he can't even remotely kill him. Dazzle's just tanking through this damage, man. He has a Shallow Grid after the CCNC, meanwhile, locking him down with the Reaper Scythe, gets the kill on a Faces Void. He has a buyback, but they're just going to call it. GG, well played. The Dire going to get that rematch against Complexity in the matchup later on today with a spot to the Star Ladder Minor on the line here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it was just we didn't see the Leviathan that we saw yesterday or if the Dire is just on point with everything. I think first and foremost, I want to say that the drafting, not just the drafting from PPD, but the bans that he had. I mean, clearly Phantom Lancer would have been much better that game than Void. Obviously, there were some decent chronos that game, getting multiple heroes, but the laning stage was just not what you wanted it to be for Leviathan. Zai got too much in both games, especially this game. I mean, Batrider with 11-minute blink, he got solo kills onto Void. If that's a Phantom Lancer, that just simply doesn't happen, but that was banned out. Not to mention, Phantom Lancer is a natural diffusal carrier. You know, we could argue whether or not BSJ should have got it regardless whether he's on Void or not, but yeah. Phantom Lancer certainly would have rushed it, and maybe could have dealt with the Necrophos a bit better than Faceless Void. So that's another thing to think about. So not just the play from the Dire, but also the draft and specifically the bans from the Dire.
Mm-hmm. Something to keep in mind too with these newer teams as well is they tend to feed off of that energy, that momentum a little bit more. And in the yesterday series against AG, they did win some big fights and perhaps kind of got them really going. This series, they just never really got anything going. Both of these games, Team Dire just completely locked them down, it felt like, from the beginning in both the laning phase and throughout, and just really a dominating performance from them. So no doubt Team Dire, though, they are a great team. They're showing that here in a lot of these qualifiers in general, and they're going to get that rematch once again against Complexity. So looking forward to that. It's a good run for Team Leviathan. Obviously some big victories as we talked about, but that's the brutal thing about these qualifiers at the same time. It's getting you some good practice, if anything, but if you don't win the whole thing, it essentially means nothing in that, because obviously there's no secondary prize or anything like that. You have to win to go, or else you come up short, and that's going to be the case for Team Leviathan here. But Team Dire and Complexity, they're going to be playing for that. Now, I will say the default time of what the Grand Finals is supposed to be at about just under 2 hours from now, what is 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific there. So we will have a bit of a break here, and as a result, I will be turning off the stream for now, of course. But pending any changes, right now we're going to shoot for that for our grand final matchup. But that's going to be a good one. That's one, and I can't say I'm disappointed that we get that grand final matchup, honestly, in the end here. So I'm looking forward to that one already. But Tralf, you excited for it?
Yeah, and, even though Leviathan goes home, I think they shocked a lot of people. I think they played really, really well. I don't think anyone would have thought that they would have taken out EG in the last series. So, even though they didn't, unfortunately, perform to the standards I'm sure they had for themselves this game, or for this series, they certainly did a lot better in most people's eyes than they would have thought. So, hats off to them. They looked pretty good, and I expect to see good things for them in the next tournament.
Great point to bring up. Nothing to hang your heads about if you're Team Leviathan, I think it's safe to say. So it stings now, but definitely a bright future for this team and what is overall a very, very tough NA region as we've seen and talked about. So Guys, stay tuned, though. Well, more so, enjoy your break. I'm sure there's other content going on. I believe even South America qualifiers are going on as well for even another event, I believe ESL, so maybe watch that in the meantime. But again, 2 hours from now, just under 2 hours from now, of what is 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, we should be coming back here for what will be our finals, a best of 3, the Dire versus Complexity. It's all set up here with a spot on the line from the North American region. I'm Breaky CPK, joined by Trough, guys. We'll see you in just a little bit.